Welcome, everybody. Hope you're all having a fantastic afternoon or morning or evening or whatever it is by you. Volatility's back. Started back yesterday, of course, the day that I said the markets are too slow for me to want to put any risk on the table. And then of course, without fail, as if it read my mind, said, oh, really? Well, anyway. Really good volatility overall and a ton of movement. If we're looking at the bigger picture, one of the big giant things that stands out, the NASDAQ is now pressing into a major zone of support. We're now pulling back to the L3. That's the bottom of the megaphone. That's the previous, man, how many deviations? This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 2 DPs down, all stacked up in the same place. Not to mention 13,000, just a small psychological level. No big deal. So we're coming into a big area here on the NASDAQ, and buyers are going to be looking to try to catch a bounce. It's a little bit early. I was kind of hoping it would show up a little bit later, but well, there's not much I can do about that now. So we're here. This is where NASDAQ buyers are going to be looking to try to come in. On the S&P, the S&P zone of interest was a little bit further up, but now it's just breaking down even further. With all of these failed highs on the top, it's more likely that we see this divert down to about a 1-to-1 move. And that, again, just like the NASDAQ, is really close. It's very close to that support. Gold, man, what a frustrating market. It had a long area for a potential swing earlier this morning down at the bottom of the channel with an L4 bounce, everything stacking up in the same place. And it missed it by like a handful of ticks and then went screaming higher. So far, though, at the end of the day, gold really hasn't done much. It's just kind of taken back some of that bounce now. It's not really doing a whole lot of anything else. Crude oil had a beautiful pullback back down. Same problem, though. I was looking for a retest of that earlier area of support from yesterday. Or no, actually a couple days ago. And it missed it by just a handful of ticks. Just missed it. This is the story of my life today. Rallied all the way back up to a high, making it back to a positive half DP, dynamic 1 DP move. Wild. The euro sunk all the way down to a negative 1.5 down to the lows before rolling back up. V bottom, sharp V bottom. Big thing to note on the euro. That wasn't a break. They never made a new low. That might be a problem. And then over on good old Bitcoin, we've got a nice bounce off of support. I was really hoping it would go just a little bit lower down towards like the 28,500s, but the 30,000s, they acted as support as expected off the megaphone lows, bouncing back up now about 31,400 or so. Over on Ethereum, same thing. I was hoping for a little bit deeper, but the bottom of the wedge held as support and bounced the market back up. Falling resistance on the wedge top hasn't broken yet, so it still has some resistance to get through if it's going to finish that job. But it's holding. it's holding okay. All right. Let's see what these markets want to do in the last few minutes here. Again, I do have to duck out a little bit early. Unfortunately, I can't stay until 4 anymore just because my son gets home from school a little bit earlier, right around 4, and I don't want to leave him hanging. So let's see if we can get a bit more continuation up or what these buyers or sellers want to do. As far as the S&P goes, I mean, that move to the downside was incredible. But it went another, I mean, how far did that thing roll over? It just got obliterated. And it's still going. It's still falling apart. I mean, maybe like a 3 press low, I guess. Maybe something like that. It's gross looking. It's tough to want to be a seller way down here is basically what that equates to. I like the idea of selling still. I just don't like the idea of selling it that far down. And now we wait again. S&P is just kind of hovering at the lows. Ugh, I don't want to sell it way down here. NASDAQ keeps churning lower. What a dive. Anything on Litecoin? Litecoin, I want it a little lower. Not gonna lie, I have pending limit orders to buy at 105, to buy at 100 and a quarter, because I'm not gonna try to buy 100 and not get filled. 95, 85, all the way down. And it didn't pull back far enough. It bottomed out at 120. Depends on the exchange, around 120, and pop back up. I thought if it was gonna flush through the bottom, it could flush a quick 20 bucks. Really put in some fear, get some FOMO in there, but it didn't go far enough. So there my orders sit, alone and afraid. S&P continuing to drive to the downside. Gigantic naked POC on, well, we got a bunch of them on the NASDAQ. The first one is around 12,988.25. Major psychological level 13,000. Massive volume coming in. This could be the start of a multi-day drop, which, to be fair, this market could definitely use. This is the, wow, oh man, all the way back to an L1 too. Oh lordy. All right, well, this is a major swing long area from an L1 perspective, but we also have that unfilled gap from, what day was that? January 19. So an unfilled gap from the 19th, that's right around the corner, trying to get filled. There's a lot of stuff lining up on this pullback. Kind of curious what options look like. Hey, Slim, how's it going? At least it's evening there. It's somewhere around there. Whoops. Jeez, caps lock. See if they want to go down Periscope and flush the last few minutes of the day. We're not really getting a whole lot of movement at all. Might have to just see if we can find some scalps on the NASDAQ. Was going to try to see if there'd be some scalpable opportunities on the S&P, but it just doesn't feel like it. Nice overextensive move to the downside. Buyers are trying to pick some volume up here. Resistance is going to be back at 13,077, 78. Bulls are trying to come in. Big failure above the highs. That's a really good question. Yeah. Do you find that your trading's affected by FOMC? FOMC is and always will be a curveball. Sometimes it's hyper volatile. Other times it's like the market forgot it was even awake. It's super up in the air. FOMC is a little bit unreliable because of that, but I don't necessarily find it difficult to trade in the sense that it's hard to read. It's just really herky-jerky. Like all of a sudden it changes directions. You just have to be really nimble because it'll switch fast. From a really, really strong bear trend to just all of a sudden shotgun rally straight to the moon, you know? Bulls catching a little bit more continuation to the upside. Obviously, this market's very bearish, but we're catching a little bit of an overextension down into some daily support here, and we're getting those buyers coming in. Wouldn't necessarily mind seeing if scalpers could maybe find a quick washout for longs underneath 58. All right, well, there it goes. Hang on, let me get the microscope out real quick here, and maybe we'll be able to catch up to one of these scalps. Nice wash back to the downside. Bulls may be attempting to get the breakout move to the up. If they fail, though, it's going to be a rotation back to the highs. So I like this for an attempt, but it's got to try to attempt on the 70s because realistically, this is a bear market. So we'll flush into this little washout move back down. And jump ship on the next pop. Nice rally. That, oh man, that bull bar might just pull the confidence right back up again. Holy cow. I don't want to buy way up here already. That burned me the last time. I'm not about to jump back into a burning ship, but it's there. I would like to see just a big old bear bar. Ugh. Doji. Nailed it. A little bit weak on the highs. Next zone of resistance going to be hovering around these 77s. We're starting to pop up. Big flush above these 80s. It might be a nice little washout opportunity, but honestly, the bulls are showing some strength here. And given that we're coming off of the daily support, I really wish they would have filled that gap. But we have daily support here that could potentially be... Oh, golly. Just kicked the side of my freaking tower off. Gotta get a new screw for that. All right, give me 1 second here. I'll be right back. Golly, gee willikers, man. I tell you, one thing I hate about Crocs, aside from the fact that they're the worst fashion statement in the planet, they're huge. Like, you kick everything. Are you using a tick chart? Yeah. So I use and intermingle tick charts and minute charts. Those are kind of my go-to. Sometimes I will use the order flow volume profile charts as well if I'm looking at like a heat map, but that's usually more on like a 15-minute. So yeah, I know, Crocs. It's snowing like crazy out, so we go through a bunch of different, like, you go outside with boots and you got to come in, and so it's easier just to have some real fast slip-ons. Especially when it dumps a foot of snow and like, oh, okay, cool. Forgot it was winter here for the first portion of the year, and sellers coming back down, got a bit more of a push this time, some nice sell volume, but keep in mind, this may be, if sellers feel like they're getting a bit pressured down here, this may be a break-even run for earlier sellers who got stuck to try to come out. Sheesh. Let's see what kind of volume they can put in here. Nice little pocket of volume that didn't get filled in the 67s. I wouldn't mind seeing if they can pop back. I think this volume is sufficient enough to show that sellers have some strength. Again, it's not just like a false... Ooh, man. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What the crap was that? That was a break even if I've ever seen one. Did you see those orders come up? Whoa, hello, break even. How's it going? Lordy, lordy. Those sellers just jumped ship like it was going out of style. Okay, well, that might have just shifted the sentiment a little bit. Sellers may be able to take it through, but that was a heck of an order that just stopped this thing in its tracks. There's more selling volume coming in the 64s. They got to try to push this down now. That was a brick wall that just stood in their way. Got to keep the buyers coming up. If they can stay above this volume at 64, this might spook these sellers. It's spooking these sellers. You see that stop hit right there at 75? Give me a little bit of a washout here. Anything. Oh, any washout. 81? Nope. All the way up. Look at that giant order at the top. There's their target. It wouldn't pull back. It hit the volume. They got out of break even, and it just hit the gas pedal. It was gone. All right, well, it was a nice move up. Let's see if they want to refresh on this pullback. Given that volume at the top, though, that looks like it was a break even and a target. Big volume coming in underneath that bear bar. Coincidentally, out of all the places that could have showed up, under the bear bar, the market's popping back above it. So that tells us that shorts may have just gotten suckered. Let's see what happens. This level right there, 79.75, that's where the volume is, and it's right under that bear bar from earlier. If this starts churning back up, this could fuel another breakout move back through the top. I don't want to buy too high, but if it squeezes, looking for a squeeze breakout through the highs. There's the pop up, a little more, a little more. All right, couldn't get it out. I tried getting that squeeze, but that's it. It's such a late entry. Oh, that's frustrating. Oh well. I really wanted that earlier one. It just wouldn't pull back. It was a nice secondary squeeze, but you can see what happened, right? The shorts came in underneath the bear bar, and they came in. They didn't even make it like a high. They didn't even hide it. Nothing. It's just big flag. Hey, I'm going short here. Huge volume. And then they just got dumpstered. That's a squeeze back to the upside. Oh, there it goes. Big target fills up at 104.75. Washback going into, got a couple minutes left. That is a gnarly candle. Closes a doji? That's a lot of volume stepping up again. There's a lot of big targets getting hit up here. Do you use the 2000 tick for the S&P 500? I'm a new guy trying to learn. What do you teach in the morning class if I join things? Yeah, no problem. So when it comes to the S&P, it depends on, first off, if you're using the micro markets or if you're using the minis. They will have different tick ratios, so you do need to make sure that you're watching the right one. Hang on a second. That was a lot of volume that just put a top in. I want to see what kind of volume comes in underneath this bear bar. We're going into the top 10. I'll get your question. I got you. Don't worry. I just want to see what volume comes in underneath this bear bar. Wow. Doji. Great. All right, that wasn't it. Anyway, so like I was saying, when it comes to the S&P, I don't typically use a tick chart too often because the S&P isn't my primary focus. I like the S&P on a 5-minute chart just as scalps. I really don't do a whole lot else on the S&P other than scalps, although today ended up being swings because of the amount of volatility. But if I'm trading on the S&P and I wanted a tick chart, a 2000 tick would work just fine on the mini. If you were trading the micro, it would be closer to 1000 tick. That was a lot of volume that just stepped up on this big push to the upside. Ooh, okay, going into the final 10 minutes and we're getting whacked with volume. These might be sellers who are stuck on margin right now that were trying to get this move down and they're getting it to rotate back up. But as far as learning, one of the big things that we do have that we just launched as kind of a celebratory 2021 thing, and actually I just finished recording the last few videos that I'm going to be uploading a little bit later today on that too. But it's the Academy. The SSFTG Academy goes through from the beginner trader, someone new that needs to set up their computer, all the way up to the full trading strategy. As far as what we go over in the room while the market's like at the New York Stock Exchange open, it's basically the same thing you see here. I just go into a lot more detail because it's only members there. I can go into more detail without, without just giving stuff away, if that makes sense. Typically throughout the day, at least lately, with the volatility that we've been seeing on the indexes, the majority of my trading, if not 95% of it, happens on the NASDAQ. But more recently, because the S&P volatility has been stepping up, there's been a lot of opportunities for scalps on there too. So it's been pretty good as far as the scalp side of that. But, every once in a while you'll get a day like today where it just gets obliterated. And the only thing to really do on a day like this is get short or stay short. Right? Don't do anything else. Another really nice bear bar off the top. Trying to get a bit more continuation down, but all the volume, we're not really putting it in yet. S&P, it's just not doing enough. We're hitting that major L1 on the NASDAQ daily, which is where this bounce came from. It's just having a hard time actually following through now. Getting up towards the top. Looking at the aerial view on some of the other markets, we have the rejection on crude oil off the top of the channel. We've got Bitcoin and Ethereum both bouncing off of the lows of their wedges. NASDAQ, that's down to the megaphone now. We're down into the L3 at the megaphone, previous major swing high. We've got, geez, what is this, 2 DPs down now? All the probability on the planet says it should go up. Doesn't matter what probability says, though. The market will do whatever it wants to do. Nice strong bull bar may get scalpers in trying to get a continuation break to the upside. They're going to want to see it really work out, though. That volume came in at the highs, and I'm willing to give it a shot. But I've got to see it really go, and if it's not going to follow through back up through the top, then we're likely going to see it be a trap and roll back over. Come on, buyers. Break through that 108. They got to stay above that volume. All right, good enough. Ugh. Oh, man. Every time. Never. Without fail. One of the most vindictive markets I've ever seen in my life. $3.53. Got a couple more minutes, and I'm going to have to duck out and get my son. Little bit of a flash pullback here. Buyers will still be looking to pick up into this move, but they're going to want to try to do it on a better price, and we're getting a little bit closer to the end of the day. This is when timing gets a little bit weird. Watch for big orders. This is where margin calls and all the other stuff hits. Man, there was another giant order, 19 quarter. Staying above it. Maybe. Okay, going below it. A little bit of a pullback. Big volume pop into the 19 quarters. Let's see if they want to defend it. Okay, well, there's your answer. Really? Could you give me a second? Wow. Okay. Well, there's nothing I can do about that. I think it's safe to say they defended their position, but it moved too fast. So, a little bit of a washout back down again. See if they can get a bit more continuation underneath that bear bar. Bull's trying to come back in again. Getting really close to the end of the day. This is when those margin calls, those liquidation runs, all of those can really start hammering people. And a lot of people are short today. So if this starts catching some rallies, you might see another one of those 4 p.m. shotgun blasters to the up. Buyers attempting to break back up above this volume. Nice bull bar. 4 minutes left. I would say, let's see what they want to do if they want to defend their volume. The last time I did that, it was just gone. See, I said it again. I knew better. I knew I shouldn't have said. Even saying it in passing was too much. And then it's gone. 108.75 going back up to the top. All right. Well, I'm out of time. I got to go grab my son from getting back from school. So that's going to do it for today. Some nice scalps on the NASDAQ. The S&P, they bottomed out at the lows, and that was really about it. NASDAQ, we're hitting some major support down here. I would love to see the overnight grab that the finishing blow and fill in that gap fill down there. That would be really nice to see. But we'll see what the overnight session can bring. That's going to do it. If I missed any questions or anything, feel free to shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. Until the next one, though, enjoy, rest up. I hope you had a great day of trading, and we will see you all tomorrow. All right, have a good one. We'll talk to y'all later.